I think we can start. Members, since the last meeting, 5 information papers have been issued to members. May I refer members to agenda item 1. And we've got an update from the administration on the Sha Tin to Central Link, and also another update on the West Island Line, the South Island Line, East and Kwun Tong Line extension. Our next meeting will be held on the 8th of May. And may I refer members to the list of outstanding items for discussion. Yes, Mr. Tony Chair. Chairman, I want to have a discussion on the situation after the commissioning of the WIL. According to the administration's paper, the impact on different modes of transport has been assessed. I would like to get some supplementary information from the administration. For example, the impact on the patronage of light buses and also franchised buses. I want to know the number of passengers before and after the commissioning of the WIL. And then what about the impact on tram services? Trams are different from buses and light buses in that they have to run on the tracks, and they have to or they need to occupy some road space irrespective of the level of patronage. With the commissioning of the WIL, the patronage of our tram services may have dropped. It seems that the administration attaches little importance to the development of the tramway services. But then I want to say that trams do occupy quite a lot of road space. So I want to know about the situation with regard to tram services. And what about the road traffic situation on Pok Fulam Road in the Western District? I want to know the impact of the commissioning of the WIL on the road traffic situation on Pok Fulam Road. So is it that we now have fewer cars on Pok Fulam Road? As we are the subcommittee on railways, we are more concerned about railway services than other public transport services. But anyway, I'll ask the clerk to follow up. Mr. Wong Kwok-hing and then Mr. Gary Fan. Chairman, can a special meeting be held to discuss the project cost overrun of the Sha Tin to Central Link and also the construction works delay? I hope that we can have a special meeting to discuss the SCL, Chairman. All right, I'll ask the clerk to make arrangements for a special meeting if members have no objection to having one. And as we have quite a long list of outstanding items of discussion, I hope that this special meeting can be held as soon as possible. Mr. Gary Fan, yes, Chairman, today we have a very long agenda. In fact, I and the Deputy Chairman have the same concern. I'm concerned about the progress of the SCL works. I hope that a special meeting can be held as soon as possible to discuss the matter. And Chairman, anyway, I hope that the MTRCL and the administration can give us a progress report on the SCL before our next regular meeting in May. Thank you. All right, we'll make the necessary arrangements. As members are aware, the administration's paper on the SCL MTRCL is only on the progress of the works. Nothing is mentioned about the latest financial situation or position. I would like to ask the clerk to remind the administration that in the future progress reports, there should also be updated financial reports. So we'll arrange a special meeting to discuss the SCL. And at the next meeting, next regular meeting, we'll discuss WIL, the SIL East and Kwun Tong line extension. We will also be discussing the progress of the XRL and also the MTR Early Bird Discount Promotion Trial Program. Last time, we said that we wanted to pay a site visit to Admiralty Station, and tentatively, the site visit will be held at 6 p.m. on the 19th of May. We'll be finalizing the details of the site visit later. So please now invite the administration and representatives from the MTRCL in. So item 3 on our agenda, outcome of the independent expert review of the MTRCL's overhead line system as a result of the insulator incidents in February 2014. We have the following officials: Mr. Yao Cheng-mu, Undersecretary for Transport and Housing, representatives from the Transport and Housing Bureau, as well as Mr. Donald Yee, Senior Manager External Affairs from the MTRCL, and his colleagues. Yes, good morning, Mr. Yao. Chairman, at the last meeting of the subcommittee, I made some introductory remarks and the MTRCL gave members a PowerPoint presentation. And now I would like to invite the MTRCL to make the presentation to members again, and then we'll be happy to answer members' questions. Thank you. At the subcommittee's meeting held on the 2nd of January, MTRCL briefed members on the insulator incidents in 2014 and also in 2013. We have the independent experts review and report, and I want to say that we replaced insulators installed at 128 locations of the East Rail Line, which belong to the same model and same batch of the 40 insulators. Then we are also replacing insulators along the East Rail of the same model, but not in the same batch. And we hope to complete our work within this year. This is to err on the prudent side. And then for the light rail system, we're going to adopt 2 insulators in order to increase the mechanical strength. So there will be double insulators to increase the mechanical strength of the overhead line system of the light rail. And we are also collaborating with Polytechnic University to make sure that there will be insulators of good quality for our use. When we compare ourselves with other railway operators, we are in fact using insulators of good quality. But then the incident has nothing to do with the type of insulator, but rather concerning that there was a problem with the quality, and so the experts have proposed that we should step up our control and quality assurance. I beg your pardon. For example, we need to reinstate our technical specifications and other testing requirements every time we renew an order or place an order. And also, at different stages of production, we should send staff to carry out factory evaluations. So we have adopted the experts' advice, and we will continue to step up our quality assurance system. All right, 2 members have indicated that they would like to ask questions, and I myself. Okay, 3 in total. 3 minutes for each member. Mr. Wong Kwok-hing. Thank you. Chairman. I understand that you'll be asking the supplier for some compensation. So I want to know when these claims can be resolved or settled. And can you report back to us after the matter has been settled? That's the first question. And then second, concerning the introduction of double insulators to improve the reliability of the overhead line system of the light rail, I support this idea. Because the East Rail Line has a very important role to play in our railway system, and do not want to see any incident paralyzing the railway service or the railway system. I want to know whether double insulators will be applied on other railway lines. All right, who would like to give an answer? Yes, Chairman, and I thank the member for his question. After the incident, we stopped purchasing insulators from the supplier, and we are now following up on the claims. And of course, claims have to be made in accordance with the conditions or terms in the contract. And our legal services division is following up on the matter. This process will take some time because legal details are involved. And then concerning double insulators, I thank the member for his support. The double insulators serve insulating functions as well, and they also support the overhead line system. So double insulators can enhance the mechanical strength of the overhead line system. If the design permits, we will make wider use of double insulators. Mr. Wong Kwok-hing. When I asked my first question, I said that I asked when the claims procedures would be completed, and I also asked the MTRCL to report back to the subcommittee after the matter had been settled. Yes, we can report back to members later. When will that be? I don't know, because time is required for negotiations and other procedures, and it's just going to take a few years. I'm not sure, I don't know, but we are actively following up on the matter. In that case, please update us on the progress from time to time. Yes, thank you. Mr. Tony Chair. Thank you. It's good that remedial measures be carried out after an incident. Concerning procurement, the corporation should not only look at the price.
My question is, I think the EMSD should play a supervisory role. What has it done in this incident? The EMSD has also engaged an independent expert to review the situation. I think it serves to review the opinions of the MTR and also the MTR's expert. But have you made an assessment what role the EMSD played in terms of being a supervisor, and is there any room for improvement? I think the MTRCL will do something about procurement, but why does the EMSD doesn't review its own work of supervision and seek improvement? Because we need to be reassured if the MTR is going to improve its work, and then there will also be somebody watching over it, then we will have better assurance of service quality. Can the administration, especially the EMSD, advise us what the EMSD did in this incident? Undersecretary, we understand that the public are very concerned about the safety of our railway systems, especially given the ever-increasing patronage on our railways and also the commissioning of new railways. As we progress in the meeting, we will also seek to create posts to increase the safety of our railways. So we understand that general concern. As to the insulator incident, I will hand over to the EMSD to give you an account. But we believe that overall speaking, if we can have more resources to allow the departments to do a better monitoring job, I hope members will support us. Now can I defer to the EMSD, the Assistant Director of EMSD, Mr. Leung. After this incident, the EMSD reviewed the maintenance records of insulators. We followed up on its installation specifications and also their technical standards. We also reviewed the MTR's report and also the report put together by their independent expert, Lloyd's Register Rail. After the incident, the EMSD immediately required the MTR CL to replace the insulators belonging to the same model and same batch of the faulty insulators. And we said that there should be full sampling of insulators in stock and other insulators. And also there should be testing before the installation of insulators. After the incident, we also hired an independent expert from the Netherlands to help us review the MTRs and also its independent experts review. And we also reviewed their recommendations for improvements. Please be brief. Please be concise. Our independent expert, Kima, endorsed the improvement recommendations put forward by MTR. The Kima is of the view that the MTR should set up its own quality control and management system, especially in terms of the management of procurement. And there should be testing requirements and also specification standards set when procurement is made. Thank you. It's my time to ask questions. This is a technical incident, but many passengers were affected, and on that day the passengers were very unhappy. There will be a fine that will be levied against the MTR, but I don't think it will go a long way to appease the public and also compensate them for the loss in journey time and monetary losses, if any. I'd like to ask whether there will be another mechanism to pay compensation to the affected passengers. Can you allow them free journeys on that particular railway or on all railways on a particular day or something like that? Will you consider doing that? Chairman, I thank you for the question. Can I ask my colleague to brief you on the compensation mechanism? What we do now is that that particular journey, which is the subject of disruption, will be free. But what you said is worth our follow-up. I'd like to see also whether the MTR would have something to say. And secondly, starting from last year when LegCo mentioned that we should do something about the major incidents and whether the management of MTR should be held accountable in terms of bonuses or penalties. Well, the technical problems may not be a result of the wrongdoing of a particular management individual. But since the MTR is of central importance to Hong Kong people, and every incident will invariably affect a big number of people, so we asked the MTR to review the incident, and the MTR was responsive that they would take this into consideration when they review the salary package of their management personnel. They would review the performance of a whole year before they would decide on any bonuses or penalties for management staff. Okay, the government has promised that you can further review the penalty system. Is that right? We will discuss with MTR to follow up the issue. I hope you will come back with results after you have discussed the issue. Next, Mr. Wong Kwok-hing. Chairman, I think this is laughable. The CEO of the XRL project did not have to have their heads rolled if that was what is happening. And also, people at very high-ranking positions of the companies were scolded in the face by legislators, but still they could hold on to their positions. So this is all a waste of time. What I'm saying is, if the top people don't do a good job, how can you expect the company can do well? And people will say he is going to end his contract soon, so let him go. This is no different from the superintendent of police who beat people and had to face no consequence because he was due to retire. Say if I rush up to the chairman and beat him up, and then nothing would happen to me, and then you would hold meetings to say we would have to do something about the conduct of legislators, that will be a waste of time. Okay, that is by way of an analogy. So the logic is simple, and I think there is a problem here. They say that they would replace all insulators of the same model and the same batch, and you would make a claim on the supplier. What is the reaction of the supplier? The supplier may say it has nothing to do with me. The supplier may say, this may be due to your maintenance and inspection. It has nothing to do with my product. I don't even know what you have done to claim the supplier. Can you show us the documentation from the ordering for the insulators and whether you have followed the specifications? Or I said that, would you like to give them some time to answer the question? Just show us all the documentation. If there is no commercial secret involved, please let us have the records. MTR? Dr. Lee, thank you for the question. There are many legal issues involved. When we hold discussions of a legal nature, I don't think we should reveal such information at this stage. We have to follow the contract if we are making a legal claim. Oh wait, when will your discussion end? Because the entire Hong Kong is blaming the supplier. You say you are not going to order from the same supplier, and the expert is asking you to do factory evaluations and site inspections. Is it that you did nothing of that kind before? Okay, next member, Regina Ip. Thank you, Chairman. We have heard a lot of scolding from our members. I'm not an engineering expert, but let me ask the government. How many railways is the MTR building at the same time? What kind of overseas business it has? I think they have won the contract in London. And what about on the mainland? I think they are doing consultancy work as well. And what is the percentage of such overseas, including mainland business, in the portfolio of the MTR? It is involved in a lot of business operations and is also building so many railways. Do they have enough professional resources to do it? Is it that it is becoming unwieldy And that is why you have so many problems. I think we have to look at these macro issues instead of just scolding the officials on individual problems. Undersecretary, thank you for the question. If we also count the Sai Ying Pun Station to be commissioned, the MTR is building 5 railways. As for overseas business, I don't know whether my colleagues would like to add, but since the XRL incident, which is exhibiting a grave delay, we have already told the MTR that they should focus on Hong Kong. This is at the base of their operation, and we have told them that the deployment of resources should be done according to this major principle. The MTR has promised that they would do this when they deploy resources. Now, what percentage of their portfolio is taken up by overseas business? I don't know whether my colleagues have the information. Thank you, Mrs. Ip, for the question. Basically, only a small part of the MTR's business is done overseas. There are 2 types. In terms of overseas business, the MTR is only doing management contracts, and they would recruit people locally overseas. Therefore, in terms of manpower and capital investment, the MTR does not make a big commitment. But then in Shenzhen, it also holds certain operations. But then things have already gone on track. As the Undersecretary said, certainly MTRCL is an international brand of Hong Kong, and it is okay for them to brand Hong Kong overseas. However, they cannot allow the tail to wag the dog. So we have told them that they must base their major operations in Hong Kong. I hope you'll pay attention to that point. Thank you. We have a tight schedule today. We also have Elizabeth Kwok in the line, and then we'll allow no more members to speak. But Mr. Leung Kwok-hing will have a second round. I will have to be very strict with the second round, and I would only give you 2 minutes. No more rounds after that. Elizabeth Kwok. Thank you, Chairman. My question is for the MTR. Does this incident reflect on the manpower situation of your procurement or quality control departments? Is it that they have insufficient knowledge, or is it that there are problems with the technical guidelines? This is an incident about insulators, but then this may not be a standalone incident. There may be other components or spare parts which may exhibit procurement or quality control problems. Have you reviewed the entire procurement department after this incident? Thank you for the question. The MTR has a very strict rules and regulations about procurement and quality control. If there is an possible impact on safety, or if the spare parts are of a high value, we have very strict quality control, and we write down very detailed specifications. The insulators are not of high value, but then they are going to make a big impact on operation and also service. So we have included insulators into the quality control for a particular supply chain. We have always aimed at the highest standards. This is being recommended by the experts, and they say what we do is appropriate.
Apart from insulators, are there spare parts which of lower value, but then which are important for the operation of the railway service. In fact, after the incident, we carried out a rigorous review, and so for components of lower value, which were very important, the same approach would be adopted. Can you give some examples then? For example, some carbon strips, they are not expensive, but then they may affect our system greatly. And also concerning our overhead lines, there are also some ropes or wires which are not expensive, but then if they are faulty, then the overhead line system will be affected. So, Chairman, can we be given a list of such items? I want to say that many members of the public and many passengers are unhappy with the present compensation mechanism for affected passengers administered by the MTRCL, and I hope that there can be a review. Yes, thank you. Mr. Wong Kwok-hing. Now, the MTRCL is a listed company, and listed companies are good at cheating or deceiving people. All right, back to this incident. So you've received some advice from the experts. They have suggested regular factory evaluations. Is it that you have never carried out factory evaluations before? And then second, it is said that in your purchase order, you should adequately describe the requirements of the products, testing requirements, and so on and so forth. I would like to know where these components or spare parts are produced. Yes, Chairman. For factory evaluations, when we procure important components in the future, we will step up factory evaluations. I can't let him continue with his reply, Chairman, because the expert says that there should be regular factory evaluations. So is this the standard practice that there should be regular factory evaluations, or is it that the expert is really asking for too much from you? Now, for very important components, when we procure such components, we will send staff to carry out factory evaluations. What do you mean by regular factory evaluations then? So it depends on, for the same batch, there will be regular factory evaluations. Is it that in the past you did not carry out such evaluations? Now, for components which are not expensive in the past, we procure the components and we only carry out sample checks ourselves. But then the present procurement approach for higher value components will be extended to many other items. I think we've already overrun, and I'm a bit worried that we may not have time to cover all the items on the agenda adequately. So let's move on. Next item, item 4, proposed creation of 2 directorate posts in the railways branch of the EMSD to enhance monitoring of railway safety. We have with us representatives from the Transport and Housing Bureau, Mr. Yao, the Undersecretary, Mr. Andy Chen, the Deputy Secretary, and we have Mr. Chen Fan, Director of Electrical and Mechanical Services. Yes, can the administration take us through the paper, please? Mr. Yao? Chairman, in the 2015 policy address, the CE promises to continue to monitor the performance of the MTRCL. We'll make sure that the MTRCL will continue to step up its governance. so that it can deliver quality railway service. And at the policy address briefing, the administration promised that there would be more staff in the EMSD to monitor the work of the MTRCL. So we're proposing to create 2 D1 Chief Engineer permanent posts in the railways branch of the EMSD to enhance safety inspection and monitoring of existing railway service and new railway projects. We would now like to seek members' views and also your support. The railway is the backbone of our public transport system, and so railway service safety is of paramount importance. In 2008, about 4 million. There were about 4 million trips, and in 2014, over 5 million passenger trips on our railway service. MTRCL has increased its train frequency to cope with increasing passenger demand, and the railway network is being expanded. In fact, the reliability and safety of the MTR service has been maintained at an internationally recognized high standard. Despite the increase in train frequency and the expansion of railway network, the number of service disruptions due to equipment failure of the railway system has remained stable in the past few years. So we can see that concerning asset management and safety management, MTRCL has done quite a good job. And our monitoring mechanism has been working well. We haven't seen any drop in the safety standard of the MTRCL and its service, but then we understand rising public expectations with regard to the quality of our railway service, and so we have to make sure that the corporation can continue to provide a reliable railway service through enhanced repair and maintenance work. So the railways branch is going to continue to rigorously monitor the work of the MTRCL, but then with increased train frequency and the continuous expansion of the railway network, the railways branch's work is increasing. Now we have the XLL Hong Kong section, SCL, South Island Line, East and Kwun Tong Extension projects in progress. They will be commissioned in the coming 5 to 6 years. The government is very concerned about the safety performance of these new railway projects, and so the railways branch attaches great importance to the monitoring of these projects. So we need to strengthen the staff establishment in the branch. The branch will also monitor and audit the asset management and safety management work of the MTRCL. There will be regular checks and surprise checks and inspections to make sure that established safety standards and guidelines are complied with. And there will also be detailed inspections and audits. And if there are areas for improvement identified, the branch will follow up actively with the MTRCL. At the moment, the railways branch is headed by an assistant director. He is the only directorate official in the branch. With increased train frequency and expansion of the railway network, there needs to be updates and new elements injected into the present monitoring system. The AD has to be supported by more directorate officials. And so we're proposing to create 2 permanent chief engineer D1 posts in the railways branch to monitor existing railway services and to monitor the safety of new railway projects respectively. There will also be 9 new non-directorate officer posts in the railways branch, including 7 professional and technical support staff and 2 clerical staff to support the work of the 2 chief engineers. And with member support, we'll go to the establishment subcommittee and to the FC for funding approval. 2 members have raised their hands. Anyone else? Tony Chair and also Elizabeth Kwok, 4 members in total. 3 minutes for each member, including replies. Mr. Wong Kwok-hing. Sorry, the speaker is not coming through. Mr. Wu Chi-wai, please. Chairman, we had 3 minutes for item 3, and again 3 minutes for item 4 for each member. Members don't have sufficient time to ask questions and to exchange views with government officials. And so I think each member should have 4 minutes instead of 3 for each item. And second, please do not put too many items on the agenda for one meeting. We simply don't have enough time to go through the items in depth. Now, Mr. Wu, last time some members wanted to have a discussion on the road on track incidents at this meeting, and that's why we've added one more item to the agenda. And if we don't have sufficient time to cover all the items today, we will be holding a special meeting. I hope that members can be as succinct and as concise as possible in asking questions or giving comments. And so 3 minutes for each member, including replies. Mr. Wong Kwok-hing. Chairman, Dr. Leung, the Assistant Director of Railways, is present today. It is proposed that there should be 2 chief engineers assisting you in your work. And I support the strengthening of the establishment in the railways branch. But then in the interim, how are you discharging your duties? How are you doing your monitoring work? How can the 2 chief engineers assist you in your monitoring work? So can you, Dr. Leung, tell me the difference between having and not having the 2 chief engineers in the railways branch? So is it that at the moment you can't really cope with your work? So is it that with the 2 chief engineers in the railways branch you'll be able to do your work effectively? Dr. Leung. Thank you, Chairman, and I thank Mr. Wong for his question. As members can see in the paper, at the moment, there are only 16 staff members in the railways branch. But then we have over 5 million passenger trips on our railways at the moment, and we have over 200 kilometers of tracks over the territory. I want to say that we are doing our best. We are doing whatever we can within the constraints we face in terms of manpower. But of course, because of limited manpower, we'll need to set priorities. In this paper, we are proposing that there should be 2 directorate posts and 7 professional and technical support staff posts to be created. So in total, there will be 9 extra staff members in the railways branch, and that will help us to do our work in a more in-depth manner.
We were talking about the safety management and also assets management systems. In the past, we would focus on certain points, and conceptually, if we have these posts, we can join the dots and allow them to become lines, and you will be able to see the difference. Mr. Wu Chi-wai? Thank you, Chairman. First question. You mentioned that there would be a new monitoring system. I think my question is quite similar to Mr. Wong Kwok-hing's. Assistant Director, you said that you would join the dots to form lines. But what are the actual differences? How is the mechanism going to operate? In the past, you relied on the MTRCL to do safety inspection, and you would levy fines if they fail in their work. Now that you create new posts, does it mean you will give new performance pledges to Hong Kong people and make sure that the safety operation of the MTR will be enhanced? Since these two are permanent posts, one for new railways, one for existing railways, and the one for existing railways will have to oversee 10 railways, while the one for new railways will oversee 3 to 4 railways. I of course understand that there will be a big workload for the acceptance of new railways, but why do you want to create a permanent post? In the short term, the workload of the two posts may be similar, but in the long term, there will be a big difference in the workload. So perhaps you should ask for one permanent post and the other one a non-permanent post. AD of EMSD. I will take the second question first. Talking about new or old railways, we are talking about construction of 5 new railways now. Indeed, there is a big workload. Every year, we have to inspect tens of thousands of plans. We must have a good enough contingent of people. We also have to do site testing and also on-site operation assessment before commencement. There is a big workload, but we are a mechanical team. We will respond to the needs of the times. We are flexible. When the new railways are commissioned, we will review our work and then redeploy the work amongst ourselves. We only did sampling checks of the asset management system, but later on we are going to take a bigger role. For example, how can we ensure that the service will not be disrupted? And if there is indeed disruption, how can we allow recovery to be done in the shortest possible time? A lot of work has to be done about this. So there is much more to do about asset management. We will work with MTR CL to increase monitoring so it does a better job. Mr. Wu also asked about performance pledge. What is your performance pledge? Thank you. At present, we do 120 sample checks every year, but we will enhance it to 280 times. In other words, 100% increase. We can pledge to members that with the increase in manpower, we will step up our work, we will enhance our monitoring standard, and also step up cooperation with the MTRCL, so members of the public have a more pleasant experience on the MTR. Mr. Tony Jia. Thank you, Chairman. I'm concerned about the standard of service. If you have a bigger workload and if you want to enhance the standard of service, so you need more manpower, I would support you if that's the case. In monitoring railways, the railways have to be designed and then constructed, and then they will become operational, and then there will be maintenance matters. I am worried that the EMSD only plays a passive role. It would wake up in the morning and be told that something happened, and so it would commission experts to do something. And I think the role of the EMSD is not very clear. We are going to have new railways. They are being constructed now. some of the signaling systems are being installed, and I'm sure your staff are under great pressure. Even if you create the posts now, you will have to wait for them to get on stream. You are adding a non-directorate post as well for existing railways. I don't understand that. If you have a new railway, you create a team to watch over it, then why do you need a post for the existing railways as well? And also about the performance pledge, I don't think you have mentioned it in the paper. When you go to the establishment Subcommittee Finance Committee, you should mention the performance pledge in the paper. And what about future monitoring? You have advanced reasons for creating these posts. I'd like to hear from you how you monitor whether these posts will be effective. Director, Mr. Chen Fan. Mr. Chair is very correct. I was aware of Mr. Tony Chair's question when we were in the waiting room, and that is whether the EMSD has done some self-reflection work. We need a new manpower so we can strategize our work. But now that we are understaffed, let us look at the Sha Tin Central Line and Ma On Shan Rail, etc. There will be 2 signaling systems that would be used at the same time. And they would be looking after both new and existing railways at the same time. We were talking about linking up the east and west and north and south, and the railways should be able to go in all directions, and the signaling systems would have to all function at the same time. So this is a mammoth task, and Mr. Chair, you are correct in saying that we face huge pressure, and that is why we are here at the panel to seek your support for the 2 permanent directorate posts. Chairman, just one word. I need more information. We have 220 kilometers of railway. You are going to almost double that, and you now ask for more posts. I need more information. Well, he told us part of it, but I'm sure there is a lot more information that should be supplied. Ms. Elizabeth Quat. Many members of the public are worried. We have seen a spate of incidents on our railways, and yet the government has not done too well in monitoring the situation. You only reacted to incidents after they occur. Now that we are constructing so many new railways, and you say this is going to be very complex and challenging, is it that by having more posts, you can handle that kind of heavy workload and challenging work that you have to undertake? In terms of your organization, will you do some long-term planning, say, for the next 10 years? Is it that with the creation of these posts, you can really cope with the work in the next 6 years? Undersecretary, let me say this to members here. And we have done a very good job, actually, in terms of monitoring of our railways throughout the territory. And we're not blowing our own trumpet. We have gained international recognition for this. And in fact, we have been able to preempt incidents, and remedies have been taken before they even occur. Whether it be the MTRCL or EMSD, we have done a lot. But of course, we cannot prevent all incidents from happening. And that is why we say if we can have more resources, we can even do better. It is not that we only react to incidents. I'd just like to explain to you the situation, and then now I'd like to ask the director to respond to the specific question from Ms. Kwok. Thank you. This time around, we have already scrutinized our workload. We say we are going to enhance our inspections from 120 every year to 280. I have also mentioned the cars to be purchased and also the increase in kilometrage. And we have also taken reference from overseas railway operations and the regulatory regimes. The paper also says that service delay resulting from mechanical failure is at a low rate by world standards. But then, of course, we know there is no room for complacency. By means of supervision or regulation, we should always go for prevention. So we look at daily operation and management, asset management, and also the ability to tackle contingencies on the part of the MTRCL. We hope if we can improve on these aspects, we'll be able to provide even smoother service on the railways. Next, Mr. Wong Kwok-hing. Under the background paragraphs in the paper, you say that the safety of the Hong Kong railways is at a consistently high ranking amongst major metro systems around the world. What do you mean? How is the recognition gained? I mean, how is the ranking done? When we say consistently high ranking, we base it on facts. In many advanced countries and where there are advanced railway systems, we do a benchmark research, and we do it together with 15 countries. We would learn from the good operators, we would learn from the positive experience, and then we would be competing amongst ourselves, say, for example, safety incidents, service delay. Sorry, when you say high ranking, is it that we are learning from others or whether others learn from us? We always rank top 3 amongst the 15. So you mean we are an example for others? Well, hopefully, but we can also learn from others. What do they learn from us? Is it speed, punctuality, or incident-free operation? What is the benchmark? As I was saying, Hong Kong Railways will go round the globe 50 odd times before we have one incident. And punctuality is also at a very high percentage. Well, I have been on railways overseas. The question is, we have a comparatively simple network. Other people, if you go to London, you can't even decipher what the railway map tells you, but our railway network is so simple. So how do you do the comparison? Other people operate very old systems. People have had subways for 100 years before we started to construct our MTR. So you don't have the same starting point. And also, do you compare only service in the core urban area? Exactly, this is the point. In benchmarking, we only compare advanced subway systems. We know that some of the systems overseas are old. And we also know that in some countries, the underground railway also interconnects with intercity railways. But for our benchmark exercise, we only compare with other subway systems. We don't include intercity on-land systems.
Chairman, concerning the community of metros, can you give me the relevant information? If there is no objection from the other members, then I will pass the information to the member. All right, anyone else? Mr. Wong Kwok-hing, and then Mr. Wu Chi-wai, second round. Mr. Wong Kwok-hing, thank you. I wish to follow up. I understand that you're also concerned about gas safety, mechanical safety, and also energy efficiency. What about communication? Our railway systems are very busy, and I want to know more about how you monitor communications for the railway service. For the XRL, we have seen quite a lot of delay, and so will the railways branch also try to prevent delay to new railway projects. Yes, Chairman, for the signaling system, the control system, and also the management of the emergency center, these are very important, because if the electronic system and the signaling system can operate well, then delays, disruptions in service, and accidents can be avoided. We need to address issues of mechanical safety, gas safety, and so on and so forth, because we need to comply with the requirements under 13 ordinances. For electronic communications, electronic technology, communications control, these are not really in the 13 ordinances, but then we do have a lot of staff with expertise in these areas. We're now coming to delay to new railway projects. We support the work of the Bureau and other departments. The AD of the railways branch coordinates the work of the police, the transport department, the FSD, and other departments with regard to the safety of new railway projects. We need to make sure that when the new railways are completed, they are in full compliance with safety standards. So if members have questions, then who will be giving replies, you or AD? I'm most willing to meet the public and meet electrical members to address their concerns. But then, of course, members can decide whether they want me or the AD to reply. In the past, there were occasions where responses were given in a rather belated manner. So will you try to rectify this problem with the strengthening of staff establishment in the railways branch? We'll try to respond as early as possible in the future. Mr. Wu Chi-wai, thank you. Concerning safety, punctuality, the MTRCL's performance is 99.9% under the present staff establishment in the railways branch. So with the 2 extra directorate posts, is it that the percentage will reach 99.99%, or else what's the point of having the 2 extra posts? And then second, what deficiencies or inadequacies in our railway service have you identified? And is it that the 2 chief engineers can help address these inadequacies or deficiencies? It's quite meaningless just to have the 2 chief engineers stepping up inspections and without remedying existing problems. And at the moment, the AD oversees the operation of the existing railways. And the railways branch is doing quite a good job at the moment. You're proposing 2 permanent posts. So is it that it's more appropriate to have 1 permanent post and or is it, or rather, is it that it's better to have a supernumerary post to look at new railway projects? Now, Chairman, at the moment, the performance is 99.9%. Will we be able to achieve a higher percentage in the future? Of course, we hope that this can be done. But then the railway network is highly complicated and sophisticated. We will do our best. We'll try to upgrade the standards. But then there are accidents which cannot be foreseen, and so I really can't give an undertaking here. With more staff members, of course we'll step up inspections, but then there will be enhancement in quality as well as quantity. Just now I mentioned dots, lines, and planes. At the moment, we in a way act like firemen. We put out fire when there is one. But then in future, we hope that our staff, our colleagues can have some time to sit down and think. In other words, how can we make use of limited resources to maximize the effects of our monitoring efforts? At the moment, we are relatively passive in our work and in our operations. And in future, we can review our mode of operation. We can identify areas for improvement. We can strive for self-improvement and enhancement. All right. So do members agree that the Bureau can go to the ESC? Mr. Wu Chi-wai, I think the Director still hasn't really answered my question. I asked whether a supernumerary post should be created. The Director said that staff needed time to sit down and think and to review the present mode of operation. And we do not know the details. And so I think it's better to have a supernumerary post than to have a permanent post. Perhaps the Director can give a response to the ESC in relation to Mr. Wu Chi-wai's concern. Oh, I've already drawn the line. I in fact was asking members whether they agreed that the Bureau could go to the ESC. So do members agree that the Bureau can go to the ESC? But we haven't got the supplementary information from the Bureau and from the department yet. They've already promised to give us the supplementary information. And of course, members can discuss the proposal in the ESC and also in the FC. I have reservations, Chairman. Those in favor of the bureaus going to the ESC, please raise their hands. Chairman, I think you should allow members to give their comments. I agree with Mr. Wu and Mr. Leung. It is true that the department will be giving us supplementary information in writing. But I don't know whether I will be happy with the information given. So how can I state at this stage whether I agree or disagree that they should go to the ESC? Allow me to supplement. Concerning safe operation of the railways and also asset management, these are very important aspects. I want to say something about division of labor. The 2 chief engineers will each have very clear or clearly defined duties. Nowadays, for the railway systems, of course, the mechanical and the electrical aspects are important, but then the electronic aspect is also very important. The signaling system, communications, operation of the trains, and also contingency and emergency arrangements. These are all very important, and so we need to take care of both sides. We need to pay attention to the tracks, and at the same time we need to pay attention to the signaling system and the safe operation of the trains. We need to attach importance to both types of technology. I was trying to ask members whether they agreed that the Bureau could go to the ESC. Those in favor of this suggestion, please raise their hands. The Bureau going to the ESC. 5 members. Those who are against this proposal, 3 members. Right. So the subcommittee supports the Bureau's going to the ESC. Next item on the agenda, progress update of the construction of the Hong Kong section of the XRL. Yes, let's invite the representatives in. We have Mr. Yao, the Under Secretary, Ms. Rebecca Pun, Deputy Secretary, Mr. Peter Lau, Director of Highways, Dr. Phil Wong, Projects Director, and his colleagues.
Five
members have indicated that they would like to ask questions, including Ms. Helena Wong, who is not a member of the subcommittee, but still she can ask some questions and give comments. Please, can Mr. Yao take us through the paper? Chairman, this is the progress and financial situation report of the construction of the Hong Kong section of the XRL for the period ending 31st December. We are now giving members quarterly reports. In May last year, the MTRCL said that according to the program to complete, the new commissioning target would be the end of 2017. And in October last year, the department and the Bureau informed the MTRCL of its assessment of its PTC. The MTRCL needs to continue to make the best endeavors to make sure that the contractors would try to adhere to the new commissioning target of end of 2017. And we are now monitoring the work of the MTRCL very closely. According to the PTC, we are also monitoring the rest of the works. As at the end of 2014, the overall progress of the Hong Kong section of the XRL was 66.3%, indicating a delay as compared to the planned progress of 69.5% in the PTC. From October to December last year, at the PSC meetings, MTRCL reported continuous progress delay, including delay in critical contracts and works. In fact, we made it known to the MTRCL very clearly that we were gravely concerned, and we urged the MTRCL to take proactive follow-up measures. MTRCL is now reviewing its PTC and also all the relevant risk, and the review will be completed in the second quarter of this year.
The MTRCL also told the government in July that the latest estimate is $71.52 billion. And at the end of November, we have also assessed the entrustment cost, and we have found that the MTRCL has not included everything in the latest entrustment cost. And also there has to be assessment of other items so as to make sure that there is enough provision for risks. In November last year, we have already urged the MTRCL in the view of its own independent experts review and also our recommendations to look at the entrustment cost again, and we would ask the MTRCL to act according to the program to complete and also the estimate. It is said that the review will be done by the end of the second quarter. And we have also released the report of the independent expert group headed by Justice Hartman. We place a lot of emphasis on the report and the recommendations, and we will take up those recommendations together with the Highways Department. We will also talk to the MTRCL about the implementation of the report, especially about monitoring of works and reporting. I'm aware that yesterday the media said that the latest estimate would be 85 billion or an project overrun of $20 billion. I would say that at the end of the second quarter, the MTRCL will be coming up with a new entrustment cost. So up to now, the government has not received the latest estimation. We will have to get it from the MTRCL, and also with the help of our monitoring and verification consultant, we will review the situation. It is also said that there is serious delay in some of the works. I will leave this to the MTRCL to respond when they comment on individual projects. I'd also like to take the opportunity to tell you that a few days ago, we submitted an information paper to this subcommittee a few days ago on the WIL, SIL, and also 3 other railways and their progress until the end of last year. In yesterday's media report, it is said that the SCL would be delayed by another year. We'd like to clarify here that actually, starting from July last year, we already made regular reports to this subcommittee to report on the progress and risk assessment and also delay of SCL. According to the MTRCL, the To Kwa Wan Station archaeological assessment will cause a delay of 11 months. So from Tai Wai to Hong Ham, the commissioning date will be delayed from the end of 2018 to 2019. As for Hong Ham to Admiralty section, since there should be the flexibility of building a convention center on top of the station, there will be a 6-month delay as estimated before. Such risks of delay have been reported to members. For example, in November, we said that in a meeting paper. Therefore, the commissioning date from from Hong Ham to Admiralty, it will be delayed from the end of 2020 to 2021. We will be monitoring the progress very closely. We will try to recover some of the time, and we will always be actively reviewing the commissioning dates. Now, may I ask the MTRCL to give a report to members on the progress of the Hong Kong section of the XRL. Can I ask Mr. Tang, the General Manager of XRL, to report to you the progress of the Hong Kong section? Yes, of course, Mr. Tang. Chairman, members, first of all, I will let you know the overall progress. The orange solid lines are for the tunnels that have been excavated, and the 3 yellow spots have to do with the 3 critical contracts. Until the December 2014, according to the revised timetable, there is 70.8% completion for civil engineering works, and EMSD works at 46.6%, and the overall progress rate is 66.3%. And the excavation of the double tube tunnel is 90% complete, and we only have 3.6 kilometers to go. Now I'd like to report to you the latest situation about the 3 critical contracts. First of all, Contract 810A, the West Kowloon Terminal. It is 80% of excavation works that have been completed and concrete structural works 30%. In order that we can do it faster even at the north of the station, and also to link up the different points within the tunnel, we mentioned different contingency measures, for example, having blasting at level B3 and also other works. We are going to have them completed as soon as possible. From September to December 2014, we have completed first and second stage of blasting works, and the data are telling us that blasting is feasible. At the beginning of 2015, the contractor started stage 3 blasting so as to speed up the progress at the north of the station. As for closure of Lin Cheong Road, the relevant departments have already scrutinized the suggestion of MTRCL. We will continue to coordinate with departments and other stakeholders so that we can implement the plan in April. The terminus, at the terminus, the steelwork structure works are very complicated, and we have not seen similar works undertaken in Hong Kong. Till the end of 2014, the temporary steelwork structure works installation have been completed up to 32%, and for the permanent steelwork structure works installation, only 9%, and there is a delay compared to the estimated dates. Since the different components are different in size and also shape, we have to do very precise adjustment on site before we can install the different components, and we have to place them at the right angles. And also the components are heavy. When we lower them into the site vertically, we have to be very mindful about the safety side. Overall speaking, this is very challenging. Contract 823A, there was flooding in the tunnel section from Yuen Long, Tat Sing Kong to Tai Kong Po. But the 2 tunnel boring machines have now been reactivated starting in November, and we are now doing drilling work in the north side. Both TBMs have been improved, and the present progress is satisfactory. We will continue to monitor the progress. After the blasting work is done for southbound lines, in fact, the structural works are also more or less completed, and we are now doing advanced works for laying the tracks and also the cables. Contract 826, the cross-boundary tunnel. The TBM working on the northbound tunnel has already left the cavern in December, and it is now heading towards the shaft in Mai Po. We need to do maintenance, and since the TBM is still within the area of the cavern, progress has been slow. The MTRCL is discussing with the contractor any effective measures so that there will not be further delay. So these are the 3 critical contracts. Now let me talk about other works contracts, starting from the north. Contract 825. From Mai Po to Outer May, all the boring works have been completed, and we are now laying the tracks. Progress is satisfactory. Contract 824 from Outer May to Tai Kong Po, there is improvement about the underground water situation. The tunnel should be open in the first quarter of 2015. but then there may be some delay with the constructing of the internal wall of the tunnel. So there will be some impact on delaying of tracks. And the MTRCL is talking to the contractor to see how we can recover some time. Since this may become another critical project, we are going to follow up on it with a lot of effort. Contract A23B, Shek Kong Depot, and also the emergency repair station. We have already done the structural works for all 14 buildings. We are doing E&M installation, and we would like to have the acceptance test for fire service installations in early 2015. Another contract, 822 from Cheok-chun to Shakyam Tunnel. We are now laying the tracks and the Shengmun ventilation building main works. We have completed that up to 75%. Contract 821 from Shakyam to Meilai Road. We have already completed the laying of tracks, and the Wai-keung ventilation building is now having public utilities connected. Contract 820 Meilai Road to Hoi Ting Road. We are now laying the tracks, and the Nam Chong ventilation building internal refurbishment and E&M installation are being done, and the reprovisioning of the road surface is almost complete. Project 811A near Hoi Ting Road. The WKT approach road, all the structural works have been completed. Contract 811B near Jordan Road. We have completed 70% of this project, and the B3 level, which is going to be built in a vertical fashion, is almost done. Because there are large boulders, we could not build too many egresses because we don't want to make an impact on nearby traffic. There is now a delay, and we are going to talk to the contractors to see how we can recover some time. Contract 810B, WKT South, concrete structural works, completion up to 79%. And on Austin Road West, the boring and concrete pouring works for the down track section, the completion rate is 47% and 18% respectively. And the E&M contractor can now work on 60% of the tunnel. And if we talk about the ventilation systems, the signaling systems, and also communication systems, these continue to take place in a few buildings, and also at the Shek Kong running maintenance shed as well as Shek Kong feeder building. At Wai-keung, the large ventilation building was tested in November 2014, and WKT, E&M major installations, the laying of tubes and also testing, those are underway. Now I'd like to consolidate my report today. The overall completion rate has exceeded 66% on the Hong Kong section of XRL. To expedite works at contract 810A, we have started stage 3 blasting, and in April we will be closing Lin Chang Road northbound. And the production and installation of the steel work structures would be very challenging, and the MTRCL will follow up on it actively. Contract A23A from Yuen Long Tak Sing Kong to Tai Kong Po. The flooded TBM has been reactivated in July last year, or 5 months ahead of the estimated recovery time. The two TBMs are now heading north. In other words, they are boring the tunnel for the northbound direction. And We have learned from experience and we have improved the TBMs. The present progress is satisfactory.
Contract 826, the cross-border tunnel. In fact, we've left the Kevin area already. That was in late December last year. And for the southbound tunnel, the tunnel boring machine had to be repaired, and as a result there was some delay. But now things have resumed to normal. But at the moment, the progress is rather low, and MTRCL is discussing the matter with the contractor. Contract 824 Ngau Tam May to Tai Kong Po Tunnel. At the moment there is some delay, and so there's a need to follow up on the works. So contracts 8108 and 826 are extremely challenging. But of course, the MTRCL is still working towards the target of having the XRL commissioned in by the end of 2017. All right, 4 minutes for each member, including questions and replies. Mr. Wong Kwok-hing and then Mr. Gary Fan. Chairman, thank you. The Undersecretary made some clarification. He said that some media reports did not tell the public the whole story, and some of the content was not true. So when will you be able to give us a true, accurate, and comprehensive account? And then may I ask a question about the steelworks? You're telling us that it's a very complicated project, the steelwork fabrication, and this is contract 8108, and only a small part of the works has been completed. So what are you going to do about this? Undersecretary. Yes, Chairman. Because, Chairman, we were aware of some media reports, and there were some figures mentioned in those reports, and the figures are not the same as the figures we have in hand. In fact, we asked the MTRCL to review the progress of works and the costs concerned. We asked the MTRCL to carry out a review and then give us the latest estimate. So I just want to point out that the figures that appeared in those media reports are different from the figures we have in hand. But after the MTRCL has come up with a new estimate, the Highways Department, together with the M&V consultant, will study the estimate, and then we'll come up with a figure for members' reference. Now, because according to the media reports, the final cost will be $85 billion. So what figure do you have in mind? We've now got the figure 71.52 billion from the MTRCL. That's the figure we have in hand. But then another figure appears in media reports, and this figure is not the figure that we have in hand. With regard to project cost overrun of the XRL Hong Kong section caused by the delay in the works, will the government protect taxpayers' money by taking action against the MTRCL? Will act in strict accordance with the entrustment agreement, Chairman. If the MTRCL fails to discharge its obligations, then we can take action in accordance with the entrustment agreement. But then, of course, at the moment, our top priority is to make sure that the works can be completed as early as possible. But then concerning claims. Of course, we'll not forget about claims, but at the moment we need to make sure that our works can progress as smoothly and as quickly as possible. And then, Dr. Wong, can you tell us more about the steelwork fabrication works? It's a very complicated works item requiring great precision. It was quite difficult for the temporary supporting steel structure to be transported from the mainland to Hong Kong. We set up additional fabrication yards on the mainland to expedite the fabrication of temporary supporting steel structure for the steel work. But as the works are highly complex, we have to work with the contractor concerning the works method. We hope that we will be able to recover some of the delay. Mr. Gary Fair, my first question is for Dr. Wong, and my second question is for the Director of Highways, Mr. Lau. In July 2014, the MTRCL came up with its latest project cost estimate. How come in para 23 we are told that the Highways Department notes that certain items were missing in the estimate? So why is it that the MTRCL again omitted certain items in the CTC? And how many such items have been identified? A few or a dozen or more? And then second, now, Mr. Lau, for all the 5 projects carried out by the MTRCL, we have delays and also project cost overruns. And the progress up to date lags behind the progress envisaged in the program to complete. So in other words, it seems that we can't have the XRL Hong Kong Session commissioned by the end of 2017. So apart from expressing concerns time and again, how can you intervene? How can you take effective measures to recover the delay? And what if the MTRCL still fails to recover the delay and meet the new commissioning target of end of 2017? Will the government still blindly believe in what the MTRCL says? And is it that you can't do anything about the repeated delay and the project cost overrun? Dr. Wong, in July last year, we assessed the latest cost estimate for the XRL Hong Kong section. We submitted the estimate to the Highways Department, and the Highways Department alerted us to potential risks arising from claims from contractors, provision, and also potential risks associated with the revised program to complete. And also because of project delay, the maintenance period may be lengthened. So we need to assess the estimate of the cost of the project again. And according to some experts, there may not be adequate coverage at the moment with regard to the risk allowances. So in the coming months, we need to review with our contractors the engineering methods. But then, Dr. Wong, can you give us a list of the items identified by the Highways Department which have not been included in the CTC? How many items are there? Over 10, a dozen, or what? We will finish our assessment within the second quarter of this year, and so everything will be submitted to the Highways Department for its scrutiny. Director, thank you. The Highways Department monitors the project in 2 ways. We make sure that the MTRCL works in accordance with the project management mechanism. And in fact, we've already explained this to members before. And then secondly, if the Highways Department detects delay in the various contracts, we will press the MTRCL to make improvements and to try to recover the delay. In fact, in the past few months, we in our meetings of the MTRCL expressed our grave concerns about the delays detected, and we also asked them MTRCL to take remedial action. So all you can do is to keep asking the MTRCL to try to recover the delay. So is it that there is nothing else that you can do? Please follow up in the next round, Miss Claudia Mo. According to the Undersecretary, the media reports were not true and not thorough and complete. But then what about your reports? You talk about risk, you talk about delays, and you also say something about the estimated cost, and you say that the estimated cost reported in the media is not the same as the figure you have in hand. But then I think you should refute or reject those media reports outright instead of just accusing the media of making incomplete and incorrect reports. And then you're saying that the projected production rates can't be achieved. So, but then it seems that the MTRCL doesn't really know how much has been done and how much remains to be done. Then the administration keeps saying that it hopes and expects that the delay can be recovered. So you sound very bureaucratic. The Highways Department says that it has expressed grave concerns, and then the MTRCL has said that it will actively follow up. So these are very vague expressions indeed. You are professionals. You are giving us these quarterly reports. You are attending our meetings to try to give us detailed accounts of the progress of the works. I believe you would agree that the cost will be higher than the present cost to complete. And I believe you are pretty sure that there will be further delays. Am I right? Mr. Yao, I think Ms. Mo is correct in saying that in our team, we have to work with a team spirit. MTRCL and the Highways Department have to work as a team, but then we have to base our assessments on facts and objective data. The MTRCL has given us the figure of 71.52 billion. We didn't just accept the MTRCL's estimate without asking questions. So the Highways Department and the M&V consultant studied the basis for the MTRCL's having come up with this figure. And the Highways Department has identified certain items which have not been included in the CTC, and the MTRCL has been so informed. The Highways Department has expressed some queries, some doubts, and the MTRCL is following up. At the moment, we do not have a figure that is different from the 71.52 billion, and so we can't say at this stage whether there will be further project cost overrun. But then you said that the media reports were not complete and not correct. But I want to ask you whether you're saying such reports, in fact, are not totally unfounded. But then I want to say that, Chairman, as this figure is different from the figure we have in hand, it is, I think it's our duty to make this point clear to members. But then why is it that the media have come up with a different figure? Can you explain? The figure we have in hand is 71.52 billion. It's the figure given to us by the MTRCL in July last year. Concerning other sums or figures that appeared in media reports, I just want to make it clear that we do not have such figures in hand.
After the Highways Department looked at that figure, it would like the MTRCL to give further details. That is why we are doing follow-up. Ms. Elizabeth Quat. Thank you, Chairman. With regard to possible cost overrun and the estimated schedule for commissioning in 2017, I also feel that officials are not giving us straight answers. Maybe this is not the day to discuss this, but in the short term, on the issue of possible cost overrun and the commissioning date, can you come back and give us an account? The newspapers have carried those reports and the public are worried. I hope the Bureau can give us a detailed explanation. You are not forthcoming today at all with your answers. I think the public will not find that satisfactory. Undersecretary, the next meeting? I fully understand Ms. Quat's concern. This is what we have to do after the meeting. We are telling members today that given the promise given to us by the MTRCL, and that is with regard to progress of works and the cost involved, they need to do further confirmation. They would have to look at some critical projects with the contractors to see how they can catch up with the schedule. That is why at the stage, they are not in a position to give you an accurate assessment of the situation. So they have said clearly that within the second quarter, they will complete this kind of assessment, and I'm sure we will report to the Council and also the public. Chairman, so today you cannot tell us whether there will be a cost overrun. We will certainly have to wait after the second quarter, is that right? Undersecretary. Yes, that's what I was trying to say. Meaning you have an answer for us when we have our next meeting in May? Does it mean you have an answer for us in May when you say second quarter? Let me ask the MTRCL what they would like to say about the second quarter. Dr. Wong. Thank you, Chairman. We are looking at the way of carrying out the works and risks with the contractors. We will certainly be able to give an answer to the administration within the second quarter. You mean our meeting in May? There are still 7 weeks to that meeting. I can only say within the second quarter, maybe not in May. But the second quarter would mean April, May, and June. Chairman, if they can come back in June, shouldn't we hold a special meeting for this item? Undersecretary, we can promise that when the MTRCL gives us the figures and dates, now since that is also a requirement on us from members, we'll certainly act in a professional way and study the dates and figures, and then we can liaise with the chairman to see whether we should have a special meeting. Undersecretary, as you know, members don't want to wait. If you have to study the report of the MTRCL, will you come back only at the end of the year? I hope you will work as quickly as possible. Yes, Chairman, I'm as concerned as you are, and we'd like to come to grips with the progress of the XRL. Now it's my time to ask questions. Last time you revised the completion date and also the progress. According to the information, the progress rate is not 69.5 but only 66.3. In other words, 3% delay after you have revised the completion timetable. Your estimate was already conservative, and yet there is another delay. Is it that some of the measures that you proposed were not effective? That's the first question. Second question. There are 756 claims. 130 of it have been handled and processed, and a total of $1.39 billion have been paid in compensation. And we may very well be looking at $6.2 billion in terms of compensation for the remaining cases. I'd like to ask how these figures compare with similar projects, or are we seeing a historic high? And have you factored in such compensation amounts into the $71.52 billion estimate? Now I'd like to ask about the ground condition. You said it's because of soil conditions. You were slow with the excavation work. But what about the on-surface work? For example, the grouting work that is delayed, and also the steel work construction. Again, there is delay. You say you would entrust it to a factory, but work has not started. Now, does it mean that you have not done a good job in assessing the entire project beforehand, or did you in fact underestimate the difficulty and challenges? I'd like to see whether there are other measures under the concession approach. The XRL and SCL have experienced numerous delays, and there is also cost overrun. I think we don't see an end to the tunnel, so to speak. How can you prevent this from turning into an abyss? And how can you make sure that these two projects will not be an automatic cash deposit machine for the contractors? Undersecretary, with regard to the projects, I will defer to the MTRCL, and whether under the concession approach and the entrustment agreement approach, you asked about these questions. In fact, we are aware that the independent expert panel's report has asked whether it is good to continue the concession approach and the entrustment agreement. We will study the points made in the report. When we have new railways, no, I mean now, how can we prevent these projects from becoming ATMs for the contractors? Because you have already dug a hole. Okay, two parts. One, if we have new projects in future, we will consider whether we use the same approach. Secondly, about existing railways, we have to be very careful about the causes of delay and cost overrun. I can give you an example with regard to the SCL. We told the public and the council how we should maintain the ancient wells discovered under the ground. And we would report it to the public, and if the public also says that we should spend money on the conservation, then I'm sure we will be spending that kind of money. The total number stands at 456 cases, and 130 were upheld, and 622 remain outstanding. My question was whether the compensation amount was included in $71.52 billion. The amount is within the estimate, but we don't know the latest amount for compensation. Mr. Wong Kwok-hing, Chairman. Undersecretary, how can you say the media reports are not accurate? It is because you yourself are not accurate. When you say people are not accurate here, I think you quoted the proverb to say that they are economical with the truth. My question for you is, in fact, I asked that question many times. You have given us all these data. What is the cost overrun to be like, please? It's all right. Just make a guesstimate. I said very early on that this rail would be very problematic. You should try to give us a guesstimate. You have already paid out compensation for so many claims already. You should also now estimate the remaining amount of compensation. I think the chairman put it very aptly. It's like an ATM. It's like a cash withdrawal machine. You just can't come to us to say, give us the money. Now you have to tell me the estimate, and don't blame me for filibustering when you come for funding support. So what is your estimate of the final cost overrun and also the delay? This is how you question witnesses at the court, right? How long a distance is the person away from you? Is it 3 meters, 6 meters, or 10 meters? So you have to give a guesstimate. Tell us your estimates about the cost overrun and also the commissioning date. I think the MTRCL is most shameless. They say the contractors would cheat them and they are just in the middle. Okay, I will not ask the MTRCL because I don't trust them. Mr. Yao, can you answer the question? Undersecretary. Mr. Leung, I did not use the term not being economical with the truth. I only said that the figures we have are different from those quoted by the media. That is what I said. As for your question, it's similar to what members asked, and that is you want us to guess or estimate the cost overrun. When I answered Ms. Claudia Mo, I said that the government and also the company would need a basis to do an estimate. They need the breakdown of the different works before we can add them up to a sum. If the company cannot give us all the figures, the government cannot make the estimate. Okay, don't waste my time. I will teach you how to. By the end of 2017, you should commission the XRL. If you say you cannot achieve it, then give us another date. If you can complete it by that date, that means the project will progress according to your estimate. Then you should know the cost already. And the company will be able to tell you whether the contractor is wrong in certain ways. I have never heard that the steelwork structure is complicated. How complicated is it? There are many talented people in this world. Just ask around on the internet. But you keep the details from us. The factory says there is no space. How can they say that? Did we give them fake banknotes? Who is finally going to be responsible? Give us all the factors for forming the basis for your estimate, and then you should project the commissioning date. You also gave us projections. You said there are so many jobs would be created, how many commuters could be handled. You know, you did that. You did a lot of projections when you asked for funding. Dr. Elena Wong and then Mr. Wu Chi-wai. We are, of course, most concerned about the completion date and also the cost overrun issue. On page 3 of the paper, WKT North. However, still, I cannot see where the responsibility lies. Is it that the Highways Department did not do a good monitoring job, or was it the responsibility of the MTRCL, or was it the contractors? What can the Highways Department do about writing letters to the MTRCL? What is the responsibility of the MTRCL? The contractors do not have enough manpower. You should have completed concrete structural works up to 39%, but you are 9% behind schedule. Why? You did not explain that in the paper. Is it because of a lack of manpower? Is it a bad job of work supervision? Or is it that there is no penalty in the contract even if there are delays? And also, para 10 of the paper, blasting. You have done 3 stages, and another one will commence in the middle of the year. You say Highways Department will continue to closely monitor the results of the blasting works and impact on the surrounding buildings. We are talking about Ferry Point and the old buildings there. I'd like to know the monitoring report and what it says for the first 3 stages vis-a-vis impact on old buildings. Can you release that report to this subcommittee and members who are not members of the subcommittee?
Yes, Chairman, with regard to the progress at the West Kowloon terminus, members can refer to page 3. So we were lagging behind progress concerning structural concrete production. 810A, if members refer to the annex, they can see that for the excavation, we are ahead of schedule. On the work side, sometimes certain the sequencing of different components may be changed. Then for West Kowloon terminus, it's underground, and so in fact it's a very difficult and complicated project. Mr. Tang will tell you more about the blasting works. Dr. Wong. So you said that the project was extremely complicated. Is it is it that no one should be blamed for the delay and we have to accept the delay? What I was trying to say was that there are different works components on the same works site, and so for some components we may be ahead of schedules, for other components we may be behind schedule. So are you promising us that there will not be any delay ultimately? We are still looking at the best engineering methods with the contractors with a view to recovering the delay. But then will those concerned be punished if they fail to adhere to the agreed schedule? The contract stipulates the obligations of different parties. So who should be held responsible? The Highways Department or the contractor? The agreement was signed between the MTRCL and the contractor. So both sides have to be held responsible. We would act in accordance with the contract. Chairman, some of my questions have not been answered. Can he give us a reply in writing after the meeting? Yes, please provide the information in writing to members. Mr. Wu Chi-wai. I think it's a foregone conclusion that there will be cost overrun, but we don't know what the final sum is going to be. Talking about the cash flow of the entire XRL Hong Kong section project, what is it going to be like? The Undersecretary hasn't told us when he will come to LegCo for supplementary provision and when the final sum will be available. But what if the cash flow is terminated? What is going to happen then? The target commissioning date is now the end of 2017. So will you fix another works period with the contractors? And can I ask the Bureau this question? Is it that in the entrustment agreement, the completion date has already, or the commissioning date has already been put back to end of 2017? Finally, before the cash flow stops, you need to come to LegCo for supplementary provision. At what time do you need to come? And if the cash flow stops or comes to a halt, how can the various expenditures be met? Concerning cash flow, I'll ask the MTRCL to give a reply. As to when we should come to the FC for funding, according to the entrustment agreement, if the MTRCL tells the government when there is a problem, then we will need to get funding approval in respect of the excess amount. But up till now, we haven't received any formal notice to this effect from the MTRCL under the entrustment agreement. After we've received notice from the MTRCL, we will take the necessary action, but of course we'll seek legal advice to see when we should approach LegCo for supplementary provision. MTRCL can answer the question about cash flow. Who can give an answer? Thank you, Chairman. We are still reviewing the estimated cost of the project. After we finished our work, we will submit the figures to the government, and we will at the same time look at our cash flow position, and we'll continue to have discussions with the government on this matter. But Chairman, I was asking about the cash flow. I believe you are aware of your cash flow situation. Can you give an answer? The cash we have in hand is enough to meet our expenses at this point in time. But then is it that your contracts with contractors and the entrustment agreement have also been revised given the new commissioning target? In the contracts, the new commissioning target is end of 2017. Mr. Tony Chair. Thank you, Chairman. We are all concerned about when the XRL Hong Kong section can be commissioned. It was in May last year that a new commissioning target was set. The paper tells us the progress of the various works components. We are given many percentages, but I understand that this may be complicated from an engineering point of view, but please do tell us how you calculated such percentages. What is the basis? The quantity or the amount of money spent? And I believe these percentages have been endorsed by the Highways Department. Civil engineering works, 70.8% completed against the target completion rate of 74.5%. I want to know whether you can say that, say, if for a certain works component we are 5% behind schedule, then that would mean or translate into a delay of, say, a few months. Because, Chairman, as you are aware, we are all very concerned about the commissioning date of the XRL Hong Kong section. So we are concerned about delays, especially delays in relation to the critical contracts and projects. I understand that when delay is detected, experts and consultants will come up with ways to recover the delay. But then very often the solutions proposed and the extent of the delay that can be recovered are on the optimistic side. So I will hope that the Highways Department can tell us whether the remedial measures identified are really effective and whether we should be able to recover the delay. We've completed 66% of the project. It doesn't mean that if we are lagging behind by 3.2%, then there will be a delay of 3.2% of the time. It depends on whether the projects are critical projects. or critical contracts. It's true that for some critical projects there is some delay. For the cross-border tunnel, for example, there is some delay, but then we have already adopted measures with the contractor to try to recover the delay. Chairman, I just want to know whether the target commissioning date of end of 2017 will remain or can remain unchanged. 3.2% delay, Chairman, means that there will be a delay, say, of about 1 month. But then in the coming years, we'll still face challenges, especially with regard to the steel work fabrication. Chairman, I hope that in future the MTRCI will tell us the delay in terms of months for the entire project. And then, Director, can you tell us more about how delays can be recovered? In fact, I didn't have time to complete my answer in relation to Mr. Gary Fan's question. The MTRCL has come up with a number of mitigation measures. At the end of February, at the Project Supervision Committee meeting, the MTRCL presented to us some remedial measures and mitigation measures. 2 extra fabrication yards were set up on the mainland to expedite the fabrication of temporary supporting steel structure for the steel work. And concerning the cross-border tunnels, the connections will be built as early as possible. So with all these mitigation measures, we'll be able to recover some of the delay. I hope that this information can be provided in writing. How is the percentage of delay calculated? On the basis of quantity or the amount of money spent? We will have time for the second round. I want to say that we will adjourn or end the meeting 15 minutes later than the scheduled ending time. But we have one more item. Now, Chairman, concerning the dock on tracks incident item, it was scheduled to start at 12:10, but now it's about 12:45. So by how long are you going to extend this meeting? The chairman has the discretion to extend the meeting by 15 minutes because I'm worried because you're still allowing a second round, but some members have raised their hands. Can I ask members whether they've got questions in the second round? And I'll draw a line after that. Leung Kwok, Wai and then Leung Kwok-hing, 3 minutes for each member. I'll be brief. Chairman, Dr. Wong said that the contract period had been extended till the end of 2017. So my question is whether the contract sums have to be adjusted. Dr. Wong. The contract period has been extended to the end of 2017. We've given instructions to all the contractors, and of course contractors will need some time to factor in this instruction in their schedule of works. And then they will tell us how much extra costs need to be incurred. So in other words, because of this adjustment, contractors will calculate the contract sums afresh. And to a certain extent, we are talking about new agreements having to be signed between the MTRCL and the contractors. The contracts do allow us to extend the contract period, but of course this has to be subject to the agreement of both parties under certain conditions. So can I ask the Bureau whether you've amended the contract period in the entrustment agreement. In other words, the contract period will last till the end of 2017. And as the contract period has been extended, is it that the MTRCL will no longer have to shoulder its responsibility for the delay?
Undersecretary, I think I'll give a brief reply. Since there is adjustment to the entrustment time in the entrustment agreement, as you said, this will also impact upon the responsibility of the two parties and also the cost to the two parties. As the entrusting party, we will be very cautious and we will seek legal advice before we would agree to adjusting the entrustment agreement. We have adjusted the project timetable so that we can continue to monitor the remaining works. And whether we are going to also adjust the entrustment timetable, that will be taken up separately. We have not adjusted it or changed it in any way up to this moment. Mr. Wong Kwok-hing, that's exactly what I was asking. Say in 2017, you can complete the works and you can do your calculation. You can know how many more days will be required and how much more money will be spent. But Undersecretary, are you telling us now that you have not adjusted the entrustment agreement in any way? Do you still operate under the old entrustment agreement, for example, that it should end by 2016? You are not giving us the exact answers. Has anyone contravened the contracts? The entrustment agreement, as you say, remains the same. So once we come to the deadline, somebody would have contravened that agreement. Or if you say you have a new entrustment agreement, then how do you come up with the cost estimate? I just can't follow. You say you need to do the calculation. Are you telling me that there are commercial secrets, or are you still in negotiation? If that's the case, I will not ask any more. But if not, I will continue to pose questions. Undersecretary, I think Mr. Leung's question is the same as what members have been asking. First, whether there will be any change in completion date. Well, we have said that in terms of project progress, the date of completion will be different from that in the entrustment agreement. The MTRCL has said that it would be set at the end of 2017. That would be our target in pushing forward the works. Now, does it mean then that we need to change the date in the entrustment agreement? Well, since there is a matter of the distribution of responsibility or liability, we have to act in a cautious manner. But I cannot find any reason for you to change the entrustment agreement. If you would agree to any changes, then how can you claim the MTRCL? If the MTRCL says end 2017 and you just say, okay, that will be it, then how can you claim it? And you say you are seeking advice. From whom? From DOJ? The DOJ is your lawyer. It will be a piece of legal advice. But of course, you should not adjust the entrustment agreement unless you are the defaulting party. Now, you are an accountability official. Who is wrong now? Is it you or the MTRCL? You can't. I'm telling you, you should in no circumstances do anything to change the entrustment agreement. Don't have to ask the DOJ. Politically, you cannot change it. Undersecretary, Chairman, I have nothing to add. I think I have given the answer. So are you going to change the entrustment agreement? Well, the Undersecretary said that he has nothing to add. Okay, that's it for this item. I'd like to thank the government and MTRCL representatives. Now we go to the next item. Report on stray dog incident on the East Rail Line on the 20th of August 2014. Yesterday, I got a letter from Ms. Claudia Mo. It was just yesterday. And we copied it to the MTR-CL to see whether it would be in a position to reply today. Attending for this item, we have Mr. Andy Chan Shui-Fu, Deputy Secretary for Transport and Housing. And from the Hong Kong MTR, Mr. Donald Yee and their teams.
Okay.
The government. Can you take us through the paper? Please be very brief. Yes, Chairman, I'll be very brief. In December last year, the MTR-CL furnished a report on the dog-on-track incident that took place on the 20th of August 2014. It also provided an executive summary, and also the report in whole is not an abridged version. That was also forwarded to members before the meeting. After reading the report, the government noted the improvement measures that were proposed have been implemented, and there is also enhanced training for staff. We believe this will be helpful for the MTR-CL in taking care of similar incidents in future. In providing safe and reliable train service, we hope the MTR-CL can simultaneously protect animals that may go into their system. Now I'd like to defer to the MTR-CL to take you through the report. MTR-CL, Mr. Lee. Chairman, members. On the 20th of August, a dog went into the tracks of the East Rail. There was concern and some people were unhappy, and the train service was disrupted. We'd like to say that we are sorry about the impact on passengers. We immediately set up a task force to look into the incident and the handling procedures about animals on track, and also propose improvement measures. The report has been submitted to the Transport Department, and we immediately implemented all the recommended improvement measures. Now I'd like to tell you about how the measures have been implemented. The East Rail is in the open air, and there are some boundary fencings around the EAL to prevent trespassers from intruding onto the railway tracks. However, as the land level along the East Rail is uneven, there are small gaps at the bottom of the fencing. And also there are drainage outlets. Therefore, dogs can get through and go into the track area. We have sent staff to inspect all the boundary fencing along EAL, and we have found around 100 narrow gaps, and those have been sealed up immediately. This is done with meshed wire underneath the fencing, so dogs cannot venture into the track area. As you can see at the drainage outlets, we have also installed meshed wire to prevent dogs from entering the track area. I'd like to emphasize that the installation of meshed wire has to be done in a very careful manner. We cannot put up meshed wire that is too solid, because we need to allow water to be drained away from the track area, or else on a stormy day or a rainy day, our tracks could be flooded. In tackling this incident, MTR-CL staff have done their best to try to guide the dog away from the area, but at that time they did not have special equipment to help guide the dog, and staff did not have very clear guidelines about how they should treat dog on tracks, and they have not been trained for doing this, and that is why the results were not satisfactory. We have been in contact with organizations caring for animals. Please be very brief, please. We have now provided special equipment to our staff. We have provided screens and also protective gloves to our staff so they can be more effective in guiding the dogs away from our track area. And according to the recommendations of the task force, when we see or when we know that there are these areas where animals can venture into, we will go at cautious speed and we will allow trains to be stopped in a short while. And also, we will stop the train service in that area of the track if we see an animal or a dog on the tracks. However, if after extended search we cannot find the dog, if we see the dog has left the area, then train services will be resumed. Where necessary, we will ask the AFCD or the SPCA to provide assistance. The MTRCL has also followed the professional advice of animal care organizations to arrange training for our staff, and we have also put together some training filmlets and seminars. Please be very brief. Okay, just one more slide. We have already implemented all these measures, and we will review the situation 1 year later to see whether we can further improve the situation. After this incident, we have established liaison with animal care organizations. We hope there will be more communication and we can know their views well. We know the concern about animal welfare in our society, and we hope that we can help our staff take effective action about animals on track after implementing these measures. 5 members would like to ask questions, but we are already almost nearing 1 p.m. I'd like to ask you whether you agree that we extend the meeting by another 15 minutes. Yes, agree. We'll continue then. 5 members, 3 minutes each. Wong Kwok-hing.
各位議員，
多謝主席。
And then Gary Fan. Chairman. Sorry. I will read out the names according to the order put down by the clerk. Please do not waste time. Chairman, I like to talk about the hardware. After the incident, the MTRCL identified 100 narrow gaps under their boundary fencing where dogs or other animals can go through. But if without this incident, there would be 100 gaps that would still be there.
咁因此呢，我就想
Now that is where the problem lies. My question for the MTRCL is, how can you ensure that there will not be more gaps along your railways? You have sealed them up this time around, and will you conduct regular inspections in the future to make sure there are no more such gaps? And also, will you monitor the situation closely to ensure safety? What are you going to do in the future in respect of hardware as a preventive measure? Mr. Lee, thank you for the question. As I said, the fencing is there to prevent human trespassers from intruding onto the railway tracks. As you know, the East Rail runs through rural areas, and it is easy for dogs to go into the track area underneath the fencing. But this time around, we have already sealed up all the gaps. As Mr. Wong said, we will be conducting regular inspections. And this time we took another step. And we have also sealed up the drainage outlets. But as you can understand, we have to do it very carefully because it is a drain and we need to keep it open so water can flow out of the track area. We will do better inspections later.
How regular are your inspections? We do it annually. Annually? Can you have more frequent inspections? I think you really must carry out more frequent inspections. Because for these gaps, cars as well as borages may through these gaps get into the track area. We have annual inspections which are of a large scale, but of course on a monthly basis we do have smaller scale inspections. Ms. Claudia Mo, there are animal welfare groups in the protest zone of the electrical building, and they hope that the Bureau, the Department, and the MTRCL can go down to receive petitions from them. So I can go down with you after the meeting. Now, I want to say that in this incident was not a pure accident. And Mr. Lee said that there was some discontent on the part of members of the public. I think this is an understatement. At that time, people were extremely angry. There was an outrage. And you also talked about the need to give an apology for the disruption in railway service. I think you need to give a formal apology in writing. It's not enough to just do it verbally here at this meeting. I think there should be a formal apology in writing. And then it is said here that this report is called redacted. So I want to know what is there which is so sensitive in this report. And then you said there was a dog, the dog found dead on track. And why is it that you haven't provided a photo? And in the previous item, you said that your performance was 99.9%. That was your target. And as a result, your staff may think that, in fact, the most important thing is to have reliable and safe railway service. And after all, that's only a dog. So I think an apology is essential. It's not enough just mending the fences. Yes, Chairman, I think there are 4 questions in total. I think I'll address the first 2 and then the third one can be taken up by my colleague, Mr. Teng. Concerning an apology. After the incident, we on different occasions apologized to the public. We understand that the experience was a very unhappy one for the people of Hong Kong, and we did apologize. And then concerning the word redacted on the front page of the report, I believe members may be aware that we've blacked out names of colleagues and signatures. And that's why we've put down the word redacted on the front page. The MTRCL's principle is that safety is our paramount concern. And in fact, in this incident, we also followed this principle. Mr. Teng, just a brief response. Can the third question be repeated? All right. As Mr. Lee has pointed out, in fact, the full report was submitted to LegCo. Only the names were blacked out. Miss Elizabeth Kwok. Now, the incident was a tragedy. People like me who love animals very much feel a lot of grief. Well, and of course, we have to prevent a recurrence of a similar incident. You're saying that you're going to step up inspections of the boundary fencing. But then, as you know, the East Rail is a very long railway line. So will you consider installing sensors so that it will be easier for you to know where there are gaps? Because you only carry out annual inspections, and as a result, dogs may intrude into the tracks area. Can you consider using new technology to help you detect gaps as early as possible, or can you design an apps to seek the assistance of members of the public in informing you where gaps are? Yes, Chairman, thank you. I thank the member for her very valuable suggestion, and I will definitely follow up on the suggestion. In fact, we are trying to identify ways in our system to improve our service. Apart from mending the boundary fencing, we are also providing training for our staff. We have sought the advice of animal welfare groups as to how we should deal with dog on track incidents. And we have tools to help our staff guide dogs away from the tracks. But of course, we'll try to do more in this regard. But Chairman, I made two suggestions. First, an apps to let members of the public report on gaps in the fencing, and second, sensors to be installed. So can the MTRCL study these ideas and then tell us later whether they're going to adopt these suggestions? Yes, we'll do that. Mr. Wong Kwok-hing, in fact, you can say that the incident is or was simple. A dog intruded into the tracks area, and the staff didn't know how to react or respond. You're telling us that you're going to inspect and strengthen the boundary fencing to prevent intrusion into the tracks areas by dogs. This is not enough. Ms. Kwok has suggested an apps be designed. I think on the boundary fencing, you should put up signs telling people that the fencing is MTRCL's property, and so if anyone detects any damage, he or she should inform the MTRCL, because people may not know that the fencing is in fact your property. That's the first point. Second, I've read your report. It's quite obvious that on that occasion, you didn't feel that too much time should be wasted on the life of a dog. You didn't want to see passenger service disrupted for too long. No, in fact, if the trespasser had been a human being, you would have adopted a very different approach. So, can I tell you, or can I ask you, whether you can, or how you can undertake that your mindset will change? I think you should attach importance to the life of a human being as well as to the life of a dog. As correct for you to provide training for your staff, but if there is an animal that you are unable to get hold of, so an animal keeps running around in the tracks area, do you have or can you apply anesthesia? Shooting, having these shots for these animals. Can you do that? Say if there is an animal that you can't restrain and it keeps running around in the tracks area, so can you try to restrain it so that say it will stop moving for 1 minute, and then you can restrain it and remove it from the tracks. I want to say that, in fact, we have talked to many animal welfare groups, and we've come up with a series of measures. We will continue to seek the advice of these groups to see whether we can further improve upon the existing measures. All right, thank you very much for coming to the meeting. In fact, we have 4 minutes or 3 minutes left, so I'll give Ms. Mo 2 more minutes. I'm not trying to ask more questions, Chairman. In fact, the animal welfare groups gave us a paper yesterday. There are a few pages, and we still haven't got replies. Perhaps they can give a reply in writing. All right. I think time's up. AOB. Any AOB items? No? Then the next regular meeting will be held on the 8th of May. And we hope to also arrange a special meeting. Thank you.